Hi, I'm José Antônio Cheibub. I'm a professor of political science now at the Bush School. I was born in Brazil and I moved to the US. I came here to study and I got a PhD here, and then I met my wife and stayed here for the rest of my life. I just finished a paper on presidential elections in the world since 1789, and so this is an interesting paper that we show that there has been sort of a hidden dimension to democratization when it comes to presidential elections, that the weight that voters have had in the choice of presidents has increased considerably over the years. So just to give you a little sense of what we do, we have data for all presidential elections since 1789 for the whole world. And one of the things we show is that, at the beginning, all these elections, like in the US and in many Latin American countries that chose presidential systems, they were indirect, either with electors like we have here today, or with Congress choosing the president. The problem with this kind of elections is that the preferences of voters did not determine the result of the election. Then elections tend to move to what we call conditionally direct, when voters had a choice of the president, but in order for their preferences to prevail, they had to choose somebody with a majority of the vote, with 50% plus one. And if this didn't happen, the decision was going to be made by Congress. And finally, we have a direct elections for president, in which the preferences of voters are decisive. What voters choose is whoever is going to be the president. Most elections today use this method in 2 rounds. So they first vote for a set of candidates. If nobody makes 50% of the votes, then they have a second round in which only the top 2 candidates compete, and in this way one candidate is assured to have a majority. The thing I'm mostly proud of is when you're teaching and you can see that students kind of have that moment when they realize that something that they took for granted was kind of the product of some history or something that could have been different. I call that moment when they go, oh yeah, I think that's the nicest thing, and I really enjoy it.